Hey, what's up guys? Spencer Rhodes here. So, in The Walking Dead, there is Rick Grimes, and then he has his kids, Judith and Carl. And Carl died in season 8, and Judith stayed alive, and then Rick and Michonne ended up having a kid named RJ. Rick doesn't even know about RJ's existence because in season 9, he gets taken away by the CRM people on helicopters. So basically right now there's Judith and RJ, but Judith is played by the actress Cailey Fleming, and she had an interview on the website comicbook/TWD, and she's asked about the actor that she would have liked to have worked with the most, out of all the actors that left before she joined the show in season 9, the actor that she would have wanted to work with the most. And she says Chandler, and that she would have loved to have had a scene with him. And that makes sense because Chandler Riggs played Carl. And I do think it would have been really, really cool to somehow have a scene between Cailey Fleming and Chandler Riggs. I mean, Carl died when Judith was 1 or 2 years old, so that it wouldn't have worked unless they did some sort of hallucination or something, and that might have been kind of cheesy. I mean, to be fair, they did that with Rick. You know, Rick had hallucinations of Shane, Herschel, Sasha, and I love those scenes. A lot of people love those scenes. So it would have been cool if they could have somehow worked in a scene between Chandler and Cailey as Carl and Judith, but unfortunately we'll probably never get that unless, like I said, they bring Chandler Riggs back as a guest appearance and he does some sort of hallucination or dream sequence with Judith. But in this interview she talks about how she would have liked to have worked with Chandler Riggs as Carl, but I'll read out loud what she says here. I think that seeing the bond that they had would have been amazing to see. I think that would have been so cool. I think having a scene with him would have been really special, but that would have been really cool. And during season 9, there's that 6-year time jump, and she's asked about, after the 6-year time jump, would Judith and Carl have gotten along? And she says, I think so. I think seeing Judith look up to Carl as the big brother role that he could play, I think they would get along. All brothers and sisters have some fights, like tiny things, but I think that if they were to grow up together and to fight together, I think that would have been really cool. And then she talks about her brother RJ, and she's really thankful for him. And she talks about RJ right here. And she does get to be the older sister, and she does get to teach him about the apocalypse, and she does get to be an inspiration to him, and she's really thankful for that. So that's basically her talking about her character's brothers, Carl and RJ. But yeah, like I said, I think it would have been cool to have a scene between Chandler and Cailey as those characters. Now, with Rick leaving, they had to write Rick out of the show because Andrew Lincoln wanted to leave the show and spend more time with his family. With Carl, they just wanted to kill him off, so they could have possibly kept Carl alive. You know, they could have possibly had Rick leave the show and keep Carl and keep Judith and have these actors. But I've said this before in several videos. Some of you already know this. I'm not the biggest Carl Grimes fan in the world. I'm just not that big of a fan of the character. I don't think Chandler Riggs was a really good actor. He had moments where he was good, and he had a lot of moments where I feel like he just kind of half-assed it, and he gave a weak performance. I don't think he did a good job as Carl Grimes, and this is a show that constantly kills characters off, and there's really no time for dead weight, especially after 8 seasons of him being on the show. I think he was just kind of getting to the point where he was dead weight, and he wasn't getting any better as an actor. He might have been getting a little better, but the comics were getting to a point where Carl was getting more and more important, and if Rick is leaving and everything, and Carl's like the main character, Chandler Riggs can't do a good job half the time anymore. He would have had to have done a good job the whole time. And he said in interviews that the reason he didn't do a good job was because he was focused on college. And that's fine. I get that. But, you know, they killed him off because he wasn't good. It makes sense to me. So, yeah, I mean, it would have been cool to see a scene between Chandler and Cailey, but it is what it is. I'm not mad that Carl died in season 8. It was probably going to be either Carl or Morgan. Either Carl or Morgan had to die to be that big sad death that would inspire Rick to lock Negan up. And I love Morgan like a billion, trillion times more than Carl. So I definitely agree with that call on the writers. You know, keeping Morgan and killing off Carl is definitely something I agree with. But yeah, I mean, I never really thought about how Judith's actress, Cailey Fleming, didn't really get to have any scenes with Chandler. That is kind of a shame, but you know, it is what it is. But like I said, there was those cool scenes in season 9 where Rick got to see Shane and Herschel and Sasha. You know, they were hallucinations, but they turned out well. They weren't like cheesy or over the top or anything. At least for most people. I think most people like those scenes. I like those scenes. So I think it could work. They could have a little hallucination of Judith, and we get Carl back, and it'd be cool because maybe this way we get to see like I don't know how old Chandler is. He's like 22, 23, but like a 23-year-old Carl. Maybe he's got like facial hair, and the scars have faded a little bit. But yeah, it could happen. It could totally happen. They could, if Chandler Riggs was willing, they could bring him back for a guest appearance where Judith hallucinates him or has a dream about him, and that way maybe we could get that first look at that older Carl from the comics, something like that. So, you know, if there's fan demand for something like that, maybe we could get a scene like that. You know, you never know. It's definitely possible. So, who knows? Anyway, that's pretty much all I have for this video, so with all that said, don't be shy, hit that like and subscribe. I'm not going anywhere. I make 1 to 2 Walking Dead videos per day, so please hit that subscribe button. Right now we are at 717 subscribers. My goal is to try to get to 800 in the next few months. So just remember, every subscriber counts, every bit of support matters, and is very, very appreciated. Hopefully we can get to that goal of 800. Anyway, with all that said, I am Spencer Rhodes, and I will see you guys later. Bye.